Hi, this is the Black Bear Prepper, and this month is Emergency Preparedness Month. That's September 2018, okay? And as I was going through our videos, I realized I have never done a video on our 72-hour kit emergency disaster kit in our home. So as for this month, we're going to go ahead and go through it. We have a little different kit than I think most people think of when they think of emergency kits. I have always felt that 72-hour kits are thought of as a thing you can throw on your back and you're going to run out the door and you're going to survive. I have found that to be fairly unreasonable. I've been a guide. I've taken everybody from young people to old people into the woods, and we've survived for multiple days on what we have on our back. But I'll tell you truthfully, the average person is not going to be able to survive with what they've strapped on their back. But I tell you what is reasonable is through most of the disasters we have today, you are going to be able to throw your equipment into a car. You may be able to throw it into a backpack and hop on a bus. Those are realistic goals. So our kit, we keep in 5-gallon buckets. So our kit is in 5-gallon buckets. And we kind of run off the rules of 3, which most of my disaster planning is all built around. The idea that we have 3 minutes without air or blood, or first aid, 3 hours without shelter. Most people die from exposure to the elements. 3 days without water, being that most of your big disasters, clean water for sterilizing, cleaning, and drinking is a huge problem. And last is food. And you'll find that most situations, people can get to you to help within 3 days. So that's where the 72-hour kit idea has always happened. People are coming for you unless we've got a national disaster happening. Most of the time, it's a medium to small area of the United States, maybe a couple states. And that allows everybody around you to come in and help. But that usually takes about 3 days to get ready. If you're expecting them to show up the first day a disaster happens and knock on your door and bring you food and water, that's not going to happen. But with the basics, you may have to leave your house and go. We need to be able to get something that you can get within 5 minutes and get out of your house. Now, we have 5 people in our family, so our kit is designed around a 5-person kit. Now, we could technically have a few things in there that are going to help more people than that, but our kit is basically around that idea. And I always tell people, kind of throw in a couple extra things that might help for a larger group. So first, we're going to be talking about first aid. So, none of my buckets, they're all buckets I've got over the years. They're not fancy, doesn't all match. But as you can see here, the first one says first aid. And then on the bottom, we're going to be talking about water filtration here in a bit. But the first one we're going to talk about is first aid. Now, we have a couple different kinds of first aid kits on the market. We have what we call boo-boo kits. It's got a couple different kinds of Band-Aids. A true first aid kit, which is going to be able to handle most of your bleeding, scrapes, cuts, things like that. Some basic medicine. And then a full-out trauma-style kit. Now, the one thing we have in our kit, we have a realistic first aid kit. So this first aid kit is by Adventure Medical. This is a weekender. About a $100 kit. Do I think it's the end-all of end-all type deals? No. But I do believe it to be a very good kit and has a really great first aid manual. Now, all of our kit has been sealed in the food saver idea. I believe that, if you've ever stored something, it tends to get in, leaks or whatever it is, and I don't want anything leaking from one area to another. So our first aid kit, they're sealed up. I check them once every 2 years to make sure everything's in good shape. And the second part of our kit is tourniquets. I carry the CAT tourniquet and a SWAT tourniquet. I keep those in there. That's part of my 3-minute kit. Somebody's damaged a major artery or something like that, I want to be able to get to that right away. So that's right on top. Next part of our kit being nuclear sickness pills. This is if we've had any kind of a nuclear disaster. And masks. You'll find that a lot of people right now are going through a problem. These are N95 masks with the ventilator on them to help with people that have glasses, things like that. I highly recommend these. These are the 3M ones. They call their cool breathing version. I keep 10 of them in there. 5 of them, they last about an hour until they're pretty much fogged up. And I recommend changing them out an hour and letting them dry off, and then you can reuse them again. So 5 people, 10 of them. So they're not super expensive, about 20 bucks at Home Depot. Your emergency sickness pills, they sell a couple different versions. Look online for that. I get mine at campingsurvival.com. Great deal on them there. You know, then we're going to get into shelter. Okay? So, first aid. Real simple, gets her done. But if you fold open that kit, it has all the different areas labeled. So you may know where your kit looks like and how it works. Make sure it's labeled for somebody else and put an emergency book in there. Some of those, that's probably the most important part of that item. That book tells you what to do in any situation. And especially, I look for books that are designed for wilderness survival. You know, most of our first aid kits out there are to get us to a hospital. The hospital may not be around or available for a couple days. So wilderness survival books are something really to think about. Second, I have about probably 30 tents at my house because I do a lot of different types of camping. I keep 2 tents in this, a 6-man and a 3-man. Now keep in mind, a tent is even useful inside your own home. Okay, if it's cold outside, the power goes out and you have no other way to stay warm, putting everybody inside of a small tent, the natural body heat will keep you warm. So a lot of times we have 3 people at our home, so I have a 3-man tent, and a lot of times we have 5 people. And this allows for a, you know, if we've got a friend over or something like that, so a nice 6-man tent. These are cheaper tents, they're nothing special. If I have time, yeah, I'm going to go into my room and grab one of my nice tents. But I guarantee I'm not taking one of these on a trip, so it's not drying in the garage, it's whatever it is. These are designated for the trip that we're going on, for this 72-hour kit. They don't ever get used, they get checked every so often to make sure they're still in good shape, but they're mainly there for a 72-hour kit. Okay? So that's a big part of that. Now, the next thing we have is we have our shelter as far as what we're going to be wearing and what we're going to use for sleeping and items like that. Okay? Okay. So the first one. We have these in all of our kits. These are emergency tarps. And what I mean by that, these are my favorite one. The tarps, just go ahead and leave it. They're the all-weather blankets. They come in a couple different colors. I keep them in 2 different colors inside of our kit. There's 2 for each person. We have a red that's high visibility and a green that is low visibility. So if you're in a situation where you don't want to be seen, we have the green. If you're in an area where you want to be saved, we have the red. So whatever that means to you, you can make your decisions on whether you want to be seen or be hidden. They cost about $11 to $15, depending on where you buy them. They're, let me give you some measurements here. They're 5x7 tarps. They weigh 12 ounces apiece, and they are amazing when it comes to keeping you warm. So you can actually build shelters out of these. You could use this to reflect a fire back onto the back of you if you're setting at a fire. You know, we've got some options. You've got some nice grommets if you want to turn it into a larger area. So something to think about there. So like I said, there's 10 of these, 5 reds and oranges and 5 greens. So next thing in our kit, we have emergency blankets, the actual thin ones. So if I was to sit there and decide that, hey, we need to get out of here and I need to knock this kit down a little bit, or maybe I've got some extra friends that have shown up, that we're going to be able to maybe knock it down even smaller into a couple bags. We've got some emergency blankets, and again, they're all sealed up in our kit here. Next thing, simple tarps. Okay, this is your good old boy tarp. You got a tree fell on the house, it's always a good idea to have a tarp in there. You're trying to cover up the car, or maybe cover up some gear if you've loaded up your car, and you may need to sleep in your car, being able to put something over your gear is a good idea. So put it over your tent if need be. Maybe it's a real bad rainstorm and you didn't buy the best tent to put in your kit. So again, this is an all-purpose tent, you know, a 6x8 tent, real cheap, and it has the reflective silver on the inside, kind of like that. Emergency ponchos. Every single one of our kits has enough emergency ponchos for everybody in our group. You know, don't need to really talk too much about that. Tube tent. Now, you may be able to get all of your people inside your tents, but you may not be able to get your gear inside your tent. If it's pouring rain outside, which I found that most problems come with bad weather, so this is a tube tent. Real simple, string a rope between two trees, put it in there, stick your buckets in there. You may be able to cook in there or have an extra person in there, or even if you've got some friends that showed up that weren't invited but showed up anyways, you got something else to make it happen. And with a couple of those emergency tarps, you know, you're able to get people warm again. Have them, you know, are you going to be super comfortable? No, you're just trying to survive. And that may be, you know, outside waiting. You may be sitting there waiting for a disaster to happen. If you throw a bunch of sleeping bags in your kit, that's great. But are you going to have room? What kind of vehicle do you have that you're going to be leaving in? Is it waterproof? If you're sitting there waiting for a church door to open or waiting for a spot, can you throw a tarp over you, emergency blanket tarp, and keep yourself dry? Yes, you can. You can't do that with a sleeping bag. Plus, it's pretty hard to get 5 sleeping bags in a Honda. So think about what kind of vehicle you're driving. The next thing we have in here, I found that most disasters that I've had to use my kit, I've sat there and had it in the idea that socks, hats, are most important. Those are the things that people are not going to have. So we have 5 sets of heavy-duty wool socks and 5 beanies. So fleece beanies, that's going to be something you're going to definitely want, you know, to have. Okay? So something definitely in that idea, that's going to get you on with having what you need, the basics. You may have a jacket you threw on or a jacket you have in the car, you got your shoes on, but you're wearing, a lot of people don't even wear socks around here sometimes of the year. So at nighttime, it's nice to be able to pull a good pair of wool socks on and put a hat on. That's where you're going to lose most of your heat. So the last thing in this particular side of our kit, in this next bucket here, if you're keeping track, this is our 3rd bucket. So this is not a small kit. This is a kit that's going to get her done. In our shelter kit, we have toilet paper, matches, headlamps. I really like headlamps. It is way hard to set everything up with one, but we're all sitting around one particular lantern or one particular flashlight. Hold the flashlight for me. So we have 5 headlamps separated from the batteries. Now these batteries I have marked as 2018. I just replaced the batteries this year. So I have enough batteries to fill the flashlights twice, or the headlamps twice. These are cheap headlamps. I seal them up so nobody takes them out and takes them with me. They cost about 10 bucks a pop. You know, make sure that it's better to have 5 of them working, and if one of them goes down, you got 5, you know, you got 4 more. So that's kind of something to think about. And as I said, the rest of these are more emergency blankets. Green and red. 5 of each. That allows you to be able to, like I said, be a little stealthy or be a little come find me. You know, mattering on what kind of situation you're in. Okay, now that kind of covers our 2 basics. Our first one, our first aid, and our shelter. So please join us for our next installment. We're going to be talking about the rest.